Welcome! Today we're unpacking PlanManager report generation, specifically looking at data processing times and some really handy workflow best practices. If you're using PlanManager, you know exactly how absolutely crucial data is to keeping everything running smoothly. But getting that data out of the system, sometimes that can feel a bit like a mystery. So we're going to demystify this whole thing. We'll look at the logic behind the software's engine and give you the tools to stop staring at those endless loading screens. Okay, let's dive into this.
Why isn't my report downloaded immediately? Look, we have absolutely all been there, right? You click that download button because you need those numbers for a meeting that's happening, well, literally right now. And instead of getting an instant file, you just hit this waiting wall. It's incredibly frustrating when you're expecting immediate results. But, there's actually a very logical reason for this delay. And honestly, once you understand it, it's going to completely change how you manage your daily reporting.
So the foundational rule of the PlanManager engine is actually pretty straightforward. Processing time depends directly on your selected date range. And why is that? Well, because the date range dictates the sheer size of the data. The system is actually really smart. It treats a quick, tiny data poll very, very differently from a massive poll of historical data. To keep the entire software running smoothly for everybody else using it, the system automatically adjusts its own processing time based on exactly how much information you're asking it to gather up and organize.
To manage all of this, PlanManager actually categorizes your requests into 3 specific tiers based on that date range. So if you just request the last 7 days, boom, you are in the express lane. The report generates immediately and downloads straight to your computer as an Excel file. Now, moving up a bit, if you select the last 1 month, your request gets placed into a queue. You won't get it instantly, but it will pop up on your scheduled reports page as soon as it's ready. But then we get to the heavy lifting. If you request a full 12-month date range, that is a massive amount of data. It's like asking the system to move a mountain. So it categorizes this as overnight freight. Reports of this size are exclusively processed outside of regular office hours, so they don't bog down the system for everyone else during the workday.
Now, if you are pulling one of those massive 12-month reports, you're probably wondering, okay, when will I actually see it? Well, the magic number is 6 a.m. Because the system pushes these heavy-duty data polls entirely outside of active office hours, it uses the quiet of the night to do all that intense calculation work. So the guarantee here is that by the time you sit down at your desk the next day, right at 6 o'clock in the morning, that comprehensive annual report is finalized, it's generated, and it is sitting there completely ready for you to download.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the system actually calculates that date range we just talked about. It's a bit of a classic gotcha mechanic. You might naturally assume the system is looking at the actual date of the appointment, but actually, scratch that, it's not doing that at all. PlanManager filters and selects the data based on the creation date of the dossier itself. That is a massive distinction, and it's the one thing that completely dictates how your report gets queued up.
Which, of course, naturally leads to the absolute most common follow-up question that users have. Why is my export generated at night even if I choose a single specific appointment? It really does feel like a total paradox, doesn't it? You're asking for what seems like a tiny, tiny piece of data, just one single appointment, and yet the system is treating it like a massive 12-month data dump and making you wait all the way until the next morning.
Okay, so here is the major aha moment. It all goes right back to that creation date we just looked at. The system honestly doesn't care when the appointment is scheduled to take place. It cares when the dossier linked to that appointment was originally created. And think about it, in the vast majority of cases, the dossier associated with a specific appointment is older than 1 month. And, as we learned just a minute ago, any data pull that spans an age of more than 1 month gets bumped right out of that express lane. So, simply because the underlying dossier is older, it automatically triggers those heavy-duty overnight processing rules. So the crucial point is this golden rule right here. Request your reports at least 1 day in advance. Now that you understand the mechanics behind the curtain, that it's the dossier's age, not the appointment date, that triggers those overnight queues, you can totally shift from being frustrated by the system to working seamlessly right alongside it. By just building a simple 1-day buffer into your workflow, you literally eliminate the stress of waiting on a loading bar ever again.
So, I'm going to leave you with a quick question to wrap up this breakdown. Are your reports already scheduled for tomorrow? Seriously, don't let the data dictate your schedule. Anticipate your needs, get those requests into the overnight queue today, and just let the system do all the heavy lifting while you sleep. Thanks so much for joining me as we unpack this, and hey, happy planning!